What's going on, fam? It's your man, VACAY-J. And if you're new and you're loving Insecure, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Absolutely like and comment below. We're going to get into Season 5, Episode 6, the recap for Insecure. So shout out to Issa Rae, and let's get right into it. So the name of this episode is Tired, Okay? And the description reads, a distracted Issa mulls over difficult choices in both work and love, while Molly finds a comfortable audience in an unlikely source. All right, so let's break this down. And special shout out to Natasha Rothwell, a.k.a. Kelly. She directed this one right here. All right, salute to you. I like how Issa's doing it. So let's break this down. So we got Issa, and she, last we left off, she was in the hospital, right? And she walked past Lawrence and Condola, and they had the baby, and they had an appointment for the baby. So she's still standing there, but she comes out in the middle of the hallway, and they're about to leave. And, you know, Issa's like, hey, wait. So she walks down the hallway to go talk to them, right? Didn't think this was going to happen, right? So they stand there, and they're looking at each other, and, you know, Issa's just like, hey, how about we not make this uncomfortable? You know, how about we just be cool, right? So they're like, okay, that's cool. That's what's up. So they're looking at each other, and she starts looking at the baby. And she's like, oh, cute baby, right? Cute baby. And little man's looking back at Issa, you know, and it's all good, right? And she looks down, and she's like, wow, you know, you guys created this cute baby. So then Condola's like, hey, would you like to hold him? And she's like, yeah, sure. So Condola goes and gets the baby, and she allows her to hold the baby, right? What an incredible moment here, right? Condola's looking on, everything is cool, right? Issa's like, you know, this is very nice, looking at the baby, right? And it's all good. Lawrence is looking on like, wow, you know, this is really happening, right? And then the next thing you know, she shoots the baby into the garbage. It's like, what the heck? And then she's like, what the hell are you doing? Are you crazy? And then Issa karate kicks Condola right into that same garbage. She was like, F them kids, right? And she kicked her into this little hamper thing that they got all the dirty scrubs. And she's like, what, Lawrence, you want some too? You want some too? And then she turns around and starts laughing hysterically like crazy. Like, you know, she's looking like a maniac, right? You know, Lawrence got his hands up like, yo, what the heck is going on? She's just laughing, you know, making other people flinch down the hallway. And it was all in her imagination, as we thought, right? So she's looking on IG, and she's looking up Lawrence's IG just to check on him, right? Because they did see each other at the hospital. And she's looking on his IG just to see what's going on. She is scrolling through, and she sees a picture of Lawrence with his son, right? Nice picture, right? And she's looking, and she's like, oh, he came back, right? So he moved from San Francisco and came back to LA to be with Condola and his son so they can make things happen. Of course, this puts her in a very crazy position. So what does she do? She goes to Nathan, and she gets it popping, right? Clapping cheeks and the whole nine, taking her stress out on him. And, you know, she's like, yeah, you loving this, right? You loving this, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm loving it. And she's like, yeah, what else are you loving? What else are you loving? He's like, I like how you stroke, you know, I like how you doing it. I like how you stroking this, right? And she wants him to say, I love you too. Like, I love you, because she said, I love you. So she's trying to get him to say, yeah, I love you. Not just I love your stroke, but I love you too, right? So it doesn't happen. She continues to do what she does, and then they stop. And then, you know, she continues to try to get him to say, I love you back, right? She feels some type of way because, you know, she said, I love you in the last episode, and he really didn't say, I love you back. Now we're at the barbershop, and Nathan's at the barbershop. He's cutting hair. You know, he's doing a real good job. You know, the OGs is like, man, you know, you're making me look better. You know what I mean? So it's a good vibe going on. Nathan's doing his thing, and his customers are loving it, right? So he's not minding what's going on, but there's some customers there that's waiting on your boy Suge. And they're like, listen, I was supposed to be in that chair. I don't know what's going on, you know? And then homeboy's just like, yeah, you know, Suge is crazy. He got the nerve to eat my food, and I go to him and he says he didn't eat it while eating my food, right? So of course the other guy's like, hey, listen, he's gonna be here, don't worry, he's really taking up for sugar, whatever the case is. So they keep complaining, and your girl is like, yeah, if you don't stop talking about girls shouldn't wear weaves, I can't stand them, right? So they're talking about dude, and the customers are still complaining like, yo, I don't know what's going on with this guy. He's supposed to show up, this, that, and the third. So your boy Nathan is like, hey, listen, you know what? I'll take you. I'll take care of you. And he's like, hey, I'll take all the smoke for it, whatever the case is, right? So now we're in the hospital. We're still waiting on Molly's mom to get better. Issa's feeding the family, which is real cool. She's being a great friend as usual. She gets a call from Molly. And Molly's like, hey, did anything change? Is everything all right? And Molly, she's at her, retreat with her fellow associates, lawyers, right, and all of that. And Issa's like, nah, I just fed your family. I'm trying to do what I got to do. How's things going on your side? She's like, things are all right. It's cool. I'm just worried about my mom, And, Issa's just like, hey, I'm going to feed your family. Don't worry about it. Don't even stress out about it. So her brother comes and she's like, oh, I was looking for you. I got your favorite, whatever. Right. So they smiling at each other, this, that, and the third. Molly's just like, yo, stop flirting with my brother. He's married, da-da-da-da. Right. And then they give each other a hug. And Molly's like, yeah, okay, talk to you later. He has herpes. And she's like, you got herpes for real? So now we got Issa and her assistant, and they're about to talk to some new clients, right, for the block. So they run up in the spot. They're pretty happy to hear, happy to see them. They're talking to them about this and about other artists that they work with. And they're laughing about it. And they're like, yo, this could be great for our shop. This could be awesome. And then one of the guys is like, hey, you guys look familiar. The block, that sounds familiar. And did you guys do that, at a show at the museum with Crenshawn? And he's like, yeah. And then they all just sit down. And it's like, yeah, so we looking forward to working with you guys, and making this thing happen to help promote whatever's going on. So their energy just changed. It's just like, we don't want to work, we don't want to work with you. But the guy's like, hey, listen, we'll think about it. We'll get back to you. It's like, dang. So now, again, Molly's checking on mom to see if she's coming out of her coma. And they're like, yo, I know you're not working right now. We're supposed to be chilling, right? So everybody's supposed to be chilling. She's like, nah, I'm going to take a selfie, take a picture, you guys, just get up in there. They take a picture and all this and that. And they start to play, the game called First Impressions. And, they asked the dude, what was his first impression of the company? And they start talking about, yeah, this, that, and the third. And then, Molly's like, yo, when I first started, I felt like y'all wasn't messing with me. And the girl's like, yeah, we wasn't, because you was kind of bougie. You was kind of doing all this and that, doing all the extra stuff. But, she's like, go to Starbucks like the rest of us. You want a cappuccino machine in your office and all this and that. So they talking about how she used to be, but they saying that they love her now and that she's cool. That she's cool now and she's not as stuck up as she was. So they play a game. They get drunk. Next morning, Molly wakes up in her bed with a little hangover. She got one arm out of her shirt. She doesn't know what's going on. She sees a watch with some candy right next to it, like she slept with a dude and he forgot his watch. So she's like, oh my God, whose watch is this? Because she has no idea what happened. So she finds the gang. She finds, her crew. And they're like, yeah, I found a watch, this and the third. And like, yeah, we know whose watch that is. And she's like, yeah, so what happened? I totally blanked out. And they're like, yeah, you a party animal. You doing your thing. Da-da-da-da. We played that game and you got a little bit tipsy. So they're laughing. And they're like, yo, Molly, you really went all in. And they're just really kind of like laughing at her. They're like, oh, look, we got some evidence. We got receipts. So they show Molly on the phone. They recorded her drunk, dancing, twerking, doing all types of crazy stuff. And she has no idea what she was doing. She had no idea that she was twerking on her boss and everything. And yeah, she was really getting it in. And she is like super embarrassed. Like, I can't believe I did all of that. She really can't believe it. And he's like, hey, can I get my watch back? That was my grandfather's, right? So here's Issa, and she's going to the Crenshawn factory where they make all the shirts and all the clothes. And she's bringing brownies. She's trying to go to Crenshawn, trying to, just make amends and just be, make things peaceful. So he sees her. He's like, yo, what are you doing here? She's like, yeah, I came to talk to you, because There's a lot of friction going on between us, and I got some brownies for you. And, he's kind of laughing about her coming through, but at the same time, he's still like, yo, I'm not really feeling you right now. And she's like, yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm here so we could just talk it out and everything else like that. And he was just like, yo, you really sold me out. Like, I thought you was down for me, but you was down for your pockets. You was really trying to get the bag and all of that. And she's like, yo, but that's why I'm here. I'm here so we can reconcile everything. And he was like, well, you probably here because, you need something. And Issa just kind of goes off. She's like, listen, man, you've been dragging my name, dragging my company in the mud and everything else like that. It's messing up my business. And I thought we bonded and I tried to blow you up and all this and that. And he was like, yo, I felt the same. But when you flipped on me, for that company, I really wasn't feeling like you was sincere. I really wasn't feeling like you was down for me. You was just down for yourself, So they kind of go back and forth. He's like, yo, just own it, B. Just own it. You can't get mad at me because I'm mad at you. Like, just own it. He said, you know what? All of this inspired a new shirt. And on the shirt, it says integrity. Of course, Issa gets pissed off and she's like, give me my brownies. I'm out of here, right? So now we back at the shop and everybody got to pay, their rent, rent for the chair that they have, where they're cutting stuff, whatever. And your boy Suge is late as usual, right? Late as usual. So he finally pops in. They're like, yo, you got your rent? And Sugar's like, nah, Nathan got my rent. And Nathan's like, what? What do you mean I got your rent? He's like, yo, you got my rent because, you taking my customers. Like what barber does that? Like comes in and just takes customers, right? And, the dude is just like, hey, man, like you taking my food too. So they like, yo, it's just gang up on, he's like, it's gang up on Suge Day. He's like, yeah, I bring in famous customers all the time. Y'all don't even thank me, man. I was about to bring in the Wu-Tang Clan and all this and that, but I'm not, I'm not doing that no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing none of that. So, of course, your girl is just like, hey, listen, I've been cleaning up after you. It's not cool what you're doing. You just act like you own the place. So Sugar's on some like, yo, you going to listen to Nathan? Y'all going to listen to Nathan? Like, Nathan, you shouldn't be stealing customers. So Nathan's like, yo, why don't you just stop complaining then if that's how you feel? So he's like, what you say? So he approaches Nathan on some like, yo, why don't you take your bipolar self and get up out of here? You crazy and all this and that. So he hits him with a low blow and all of that, man. I mean, like, Suge goes in on Nathan and he's like, yo, it's messed up what you doing. And, you need to get your bipolar self out of here, right? So, of course, Nathan is feeling some type of way about that, but he's just mad about it. There's nothing really he could do about it. Because he is bipolar, but he's really upset about it. So dude tries to step in and just try to, hold them back from fighting or whatever. But doesn't look like it's a good fit for Nathan right now because, the dude coming through and he's really popping a whole lot of stuff on him. He's like, yo, why don't you just get out of here? You know what I'm saying? Why don't you just bounce, whatever. So now we got Molly. Molly is doing a presentation, but she's getting text messages from her brother. So while she's in the middle of doing a presentation, doing her part, she's kind of distracted. So homeboy is doing his part and definitely trying to take care of all of that. And she's kind of distracted and she's missing her mark and everything. And he's noticing that she's really not focused at all. She's not focused at all. So while she's trying to get into it, Curtis is messaging her even more so. So, homeboy just kind of takes over. He's like, hey, exactly. So he takes over the presentation and all of that and finishes it up, right? So dude is like, yo, my back is hurting. And she's like, why? He said, because I had to carry that whole presentation. He's like, yo, what is going on with you? You know what I'm saying? And she's like, yeah, it was just my brother. He was text messaging me about some sushi spot or whatever the case is. He's like, yo, I hear you, but, there's something else going on that you're not telling me. What is really going on? And she's like, listen, it's a lot been going on personally for me. Honestly, like my mom had a stroke and I don't know how to handle that. And my family's at the hospital and I just kind of been holding back, just not telling anybody, just trying to handle my business and not allow it to really affect me. And he's like, wow, I'm sorry. You was holding all that back. You was doing all this and that. And you had all that going on. So then he goes in and gives his testimony about his brother having cancer, but he still had to go through and do his work as well. So they have a bonding moment. They never really spoke personally about, things in their life, but they finally have a bonding moment with each other. So Molly definitely is feeling that right there. All right. Now we have Issa and she's online waiting to pick up some food, turn around you got Condola behind her. And she's like, what is going on? Are you following me? She's like, nah, I just wanted to thank you. And she's like, thank you. Thank you me for what? She's like, you pretty much just handed Lawrence to me on a silver platter. You know, he's doing well. We're really doing well together. He got a new job and now he's making $1 billion. And she's like, yeah, you know, me and the baby, we're doing awesome, you know, and thank you for doing all of that. You know, thank you for just giving up. You know, you don't own your mistakes at all. So turn around and Condola kicks her into the garbage, right? And she's like, yeah, you know, as far as your mistakes, just own up to your mistakes, right? Turn around, it was all in Issa's imagination, and she picks up the food and she goes about her way. Meanwhile, Molly, she's calling the family, she's calling her brother, and she FaceTiming, and look, mama came out of the coma. All right, so she's excited about that. She's so thankful. She's so happy. And Torian shows up at the door and says, hey, you know, I got a swag bag. The partners gave us a swag bag. She comes out and gives him a hug. He's like, everything okay? Everything all right? She's like, yes. You know, mom, she woke up. She's out of her coma. And he's like, oh, that's so great. That's so wonderful. She's like, yes, I'm so happy, so thankful, and everything else like that. So she looks, you know, she gets out of the hug and they look into each other's eyes like they about to get it in. And he's like, yeah, swag bag. I got the swag bag for you. Yeah. You know, so he kind of, Torian definitely doesn't want to really get into anything crazy. So, you know, he knows that she's happy and it's all good, right? So now back at the crib, we got Issa and Nathan. And he's like, yeah, I wasn't hungry, but thanks for the food, you know, and all this and that. And, you know, they asking how their day's going. And, you know, Nathan's like, yeah, you know, it's not going too well. You know, the barbershop, I may not be there that long. You know, and you know, LA seems to not be a good fit for me. So she's like, you know, okay, like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Like, and he's like, what? What do you mean? Like, I'm trying to understand. She's like, well, you saying LA's not a good fit for you, but, you know, I said I love you, you know, and you never said it back. So he's like, seriously, are we going to really talk about this right now? And she's like, yeah, I want to talk about it right now. So he's like, listen, you really going to make it about you right now? You're not going to ask me about my day? And she's just like, yeah, I just want to know, like, are you fully committed? Because I'm fully committing to this relationship. And he's like, yo, listen, you're very inconsistent. Like, you know, first you're crying in my mouth, and then you want to be my girl, and then you don't. And then you want to hear I love you and everything else like that. And she's like, inconsistent, what do you mean? He's like, listen, it's just like, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? Like, you know, you already know that I do. You know, you want me to say I love you. You already know that I do. And she's like, you know what? This is crazy. How about we just drop it? How about we just drop it? So they drop it. They go in front of the TV with the food. And they sit down. And that's it. They're not talking about it anymore. So that is the end of episode 6 of season 5 of Insecure. Definitely throw down your comments below. Let me know your opinions on this right here. This was definitely an intense episode. But definitely, we're going to get right into it and keep this thing going. You know what it is. It's your man, VACAY-J. I'm out. Salute.